Hey there, how you
Hey
doing?
guys. Good, good. How are you guys?
So good, so good.
So
Um,
so good.
every time I see your office, I want to get paneling. It makes me want it so bad.
Yeah, it was kind of weird at first, but I've come to grow to love it, honestly. Um,
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
Hey, you want to introduce yourself? Whoever's on stream with you in your game?
Yeah, it's actually just me. My name is Steven Posinski. I'm the producer for Synthbiotic Dungeon. Just a quick disclaimer for everyone who's just watching the trailer. That was a very old version of the trailer, and we've made a lot of updates since then. We've actually updated our trailer on Steam, and somebody's going to send the link in Twitch, so make sure to go check those out. Just as a little preface. But yeah, this is my game, and it was made by an awesome team of 14 people. Essentially, the game is a dungeon crawler in which a multiplayer dungeon crawler in which one person controls a dungeon and three people try to clear the dungeon. And yeah, we're super excited. We put in so much hard work for it, and here's some gameplay right here.
Yeah, go ahead and walk us through it, and then we'll get into the
Yeah.
details.
Yeah, for sure. So it basically starts out with the Sentinel setting up the dungeon. So right now we're spectating the runners who are about to enter the dungeon. They can purchase different upgrades for their guns, different abilities. There's passives as well that you can purchase. And right now, the Sentinel is going to set up the room that they're about to enter here.
So another player, a fourth player, is setting up the room.
Absolutely, yep. And this is all online multiplayer on Steam, so you can play with your friends. And yeah, so this is the first section. Essentially, on this map called Helios, the objective is to just make it into the next area. In order to do that, they have to activate switches. And these switches are placed in locations that are more tactically advantageous for the Sentinel. Our other map, Aegis, actually features a more hostile version of combat, which is more similar to like traditional dungeon crawlers. So there will be rooms with like multiple drones that spawn in, and the door like locks behind you. Same thing with like mini bosses, and yeah. So, but this is our main map. It's basically the quote unquote Dust 2 of our game. Our bread and butter. And yeah, we've just really fallen in love with this map. So right here, the players cleared the first room, and now they'll have 1 credit available. They can spend it on any power-up, weapon, or passive that they want. This will add on to the previous thing that they bought. So Elliot here actually just bought a passive that increases his movement speed passively. And essentially, this is a good strategy because you can get to those switches faster. But on the other hand, he could have purchased, like a different gun if you wanted. So there's really a lot of options for both the players and the Sentinel.
Great. And what's the Sentinel doing during this countdown?
So we'll actually get a good view of what the Sentinel's doing because Elliot will be playing as the Sentinel after this playthrough. But
perfect.
What the Sentinel is doing is they're placing traps and enemies in the next room, in the next area, and once these runners are released, which is after either 45 seconds or when the Sentinel readies up, the Sentinel will be able to possess all the enemies in the next room. Some of these possessions will actually give the drones power-ups. For example, if you possess the shield drone, it gives your shield, which you can see right there, is just a forward-facing shield. It'll turn it into a sort of a bubble shield. So there's a lot of cool things that happen with possession as well.
Brutal. So it's like Diablo and Dungeon Keeper together, huh?
Yep. And the idea was we wanted to make it sort of like a bullet hell sort of game as well. So we made the drones relatively cheap so you can have a lot of them. But we made sure not to make them like way too overpowered, so that you don't just like die in 2 shots.
That sounds like drones in real life. They're cheap and not overpowered.
Yep, pretty much.
So true. So, is there any? Tell us, what are you all most proud of with this game? What is the biggest accomplishment that you're so happy that worked out?
I personally am very proud that we were able to get a networked multiplayer game in. I remember at the beginning of the semester, Roger and Bob said no multiplayer, and I was just like, hey, what sounds cool? Multiplayer. Boom, multiplayer. We ended up getting it to work out. It was a little bit more difficult, and it definitely, like, huge shout outs to our engineers for working just day and night on this game. But honestly, that's probably what I'm most proud about. And also, huge shout out to the artists, because the second thing I'm most proud about is how like amazing our game was. It's like all these assets are just like top-notch quality, and I'm just so proud of my team.
Would you mind telling the audience
amazing.
what asymmetric gameplay is and why you chose to go with an asymmetric approach with multiplayer?
Yeah, so asymmetric is when there are multiple players that are essentially pitted against one another. So in this game, the asymmetry is between the 3 players, and the 1 sentinel. The reason I decided to go with this is actually because at the beginning of fall semester, I was thinking about how COVID was working, and I was really interested in dungeon crawlers, and I wanted to make a party game that everyone could play, but also that didn't stay the same too much. So obviously in most games there's a variable that stays. There's a constant being, you'll either be playing through the same levels, whether they're procedurally generated or pre-set up. This is going to be different almost every single time, depending on who the sentinel is. So it keeps things spicy, and that's probably why I decided to go with asymmetric.
And everyone loves spicy gameplay.
Oh yeah, gotta have the spice. A little paprika, a little pepper.
Bring the heat.
Oh yeah.
It's the flavor.
Awesome.
It's the flavor. Well, I think you nailed that. Any features you had to cut or didn't get to, or that just didn't work?
Yeah, so something we want to do in the future is actually add a single player option. And that would just make the game easier to learn for new players, and also make it so that you don't always have to have like a group of friends to play with. Ultimately, it would be ideal for us to have just like lobbies going like 24/7 and just people always playing the game. But the game is initially meant to be like a party game, so yeah, we would like to expand it in the direction of single player as we work through the summer. But yeah, that's one of the features that we didn't quite make it in.
So this is our
So
first
not often.
network.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about your lobbies real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So this is our first networked multiplayer capstone game. So talk to us a little bit about that, because I was terrified, to be perfectly honest, right?
Me too.
There. You too, huh? So,
Yep.
like, how did you do it, and like, where's everything being hosted, and like, how's this working?
Well, so we're actually using the Unreal Engine, and it was crazy because this game started out as a couch co-op, and I was talking to one of our engineers in the fall semester, and I'm like, what if our game was just, online multiplayer, so that, people don't have to necessarily play it in the same room or using, Steam Play. And he was like, let me pull some strings, let me figure it out. 2 days later, he was able to hook it up to Steam's multiplayer API, and we were able to connect. And so the way that it works is the Sentinel, it uses a peer-to-peer connection, which essentially means like one person, their computer acts as the server. So our Sentinel is acting as the server, and all of our players will join that server. So anything that happens on the Sentinel's computer or on the runner's computer is dictated by the Sentinel's computer.
Got it. So there's no like Amazon Web Service. It's actually peer-to-peer. So you are the Sentinel, and it's on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
So if it didn't go for you as a Sentinel, you could just unplug your network cord.
I mean, if you really want to, but you would definitely be labeled as a troll in the community. So it's really up to you.
I've never heard that phrase
reputation
before.
or your elo?
There are repercussions, Roger. You can't do that.
Talk us through the Sentinel.
All right, so the Sentinel here has 4 different traps that they can place. The first of those is the gun drone, but you can actually cycle through a bunch of different gun drones, which we will see in just a second. Yeah, luckily it takes like no time to make a lobby, so they'll just reset up here. But essentially there's a bunch of drone types, which you'll see in the bottom left corner. And those drone types vary from a shield drone, a healing drone, a gun drone, a laser drone, and a shield drone. Each of these have their own unique quirks with them, but you can combine these drones these drone types with different traps. So on the 2 key, we have a wall laser trap, and that can be placed on any wall. It essentially works, as you can tell, every couple seconds a giant laser pops out, which is very scary. On number 3, we have the bear trap, which works as it sounds, and number 4, we have a slow field. So right now, our Sentinel is actually laying out the room with, as you can see, a combination of the traps, which we have found in our playtesting to work the best. You would think like players would, immediately go to the mindset of, oh, I'm just going to put 1,000,000 melee drones that will just chase them around because it's the cheapest drone. But no, it actually turns out the combinations are the best. So as you can see, once they run out of credits, they can press tab, and this will reduce the timer to 4, 3, 2, 1. And then after that timer is up, then they can possess the drones and actually try to...
So the Sentinel is controlling the drone?
Yep. They can control one drone at a time, though. Other than that, they're controlled by AI.
So I love that because it allows the Sentinel to still stay in the action and not get bored. And yeah, this is so cool.
Absolutely. And actually touching on something you were saying earlier about stuff that we would like to add into the game, is we want to eventually make more mini bosses that can be possessed, and that way it'll be more like, oh, like the Sentinel's like this, super cool synth wavy scary dude who's going to who has like a bunch of abilities, and essentially will have a much better chance with like fewer drones to destroy the runners.
That sounds awesome.
I think that sounds like a great idea. I met a scary synth wavy dude in San Diego once, and it was terrifying. Awesome.
I don't know where to go with that.
Right.
Yeah, seriously, so proud of you all. I love hearing that you plan on continuing it over the summer. That, of course, isn't a requirement of the school. That just is a indication of the passion you have for the game you've created. And that I am excited to see the updates. Everybody should go download this game, play with your friends, support indie game development, give them some reviews and feedback, and help encourage them. We could not be more proud of all the games we've seen so far. And Synthbiotic Dungeon is you are no slouch. You've worked so hard on this. It really shows.
Thank you.
And I gotta be honest, you guys cost me $10. I bet Gabe that you were going to have to go back to couch co-op because you wouldn't get all this networking to work. And yeah, so that $10 Chipotle gift certificate is all his. Thanks to you.
I mean, if you want to give me like 50% of that, I'll send you my Venmo afterwards. Like,
I think you should get a burrito out of that deal. I think
Yeah, we'll share a burrito. We'll share a burrito.
Oh, okay, yeah, perfect. I love sharing.
Well done.
Thank you
awesome.
very much.
Well, hey, we're gonna give you one last statement unless you need to wrap.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you to my team. We've worked so many hours on this game, and you know, this being like the first network multiplayer game in Capstone history just made it like so scary to be a part of the team, but at the same time so rewarding. So just thank everybody for just working day and night on it. And also follow us on Twitter at Synthbiotic D, and also download our game on Steam. We have a community Discord server, so if you're ever looking for like people to play with, that's a great place to be. But yeah, other than that, thank you guys Roger and Gabe, for just being awesome. Like, we wouldn't have been able to do this without your support.
For sure, we're super proud of you, and this game is my jam, so you'll be seeing me in the lobby.
Absolutely.
Yep, Roger and I both.
Awesome. All right, thanks so much.
I want a burrito for every time I beat Roger.
I know you. I'm gonna have to give you so many burritos.
It's a bet.
Oh, you guys are awesome. This is so good.
All right, excellent. So we're gonna wrap, and we're gonna go to our next game.